I imagine that if you've clicked on this video, there's a part of you that's hoping, longing, wanting to know that this person's going to come back and give you that moment of, I see you, I'm sorry, and validate you for the pain that you have experienced in losing this person, the things that they didn't acknowledge about their behaviour, about their lack of accountability that really hurt you. And you would love it if they would come back, if nothing else, just to say sorry, just to have that conversation that makes everything make sense to you. Oh, I know. I really know. I have lived this too. So in this video, I want to come at this from the idea that we all know, right? We all know on this channel that we deserve to be treated well, right? We're coming at this from knowing that we deserve love, kindness, consistency, respect, and a mutual understanding that we're in a relationship with someone who wants the same and has the same values as us, right? We all deserve that. So if this person who was avoidant, who was shutting down, who was gaslighting you, who was there then not there, who was not ready, who wasn't present, who was away, who was seeing someone else, comes back, you don't want that version of them. Not that there's another version or another version, but they are them. You just don't want that behavior, okay? You don't want that anyway. So we're not holding on to them. So with this video, I want to talk about why they might come back and keep you strong in your sense of self and sense of knowing that what you want is a loving, consistent, loyal relationship that is devoted to you and the other person, right? And it's respect. It's just respect, which is not what was going on before, especially at the end of the relationship, right? So there are a few reasons why dismissive avoidants come back. One is that enough time has passed and they have started their coping mechanisms that they've been doing, the distracting, avoiding, eating, drinking, whatever it is that they do to shut their emotions down, they're becoming a bit ineffective. And those old feelings are starting to poke up like they do. And this can take weeks, it can take months, or it can take years. Okay, so I get a lot of people saying, he's definitely not coming back. It's been a year. And I'm like, yeah, but they can come back at any point, honestly. I've seen it years down the line. So it doesn't matter. Like the main thing is you don't want to be in this state of purgatory waiting, because that's painful for you. So yes, at some point they might come back, and I've seen it happen so many times. And I would say that it's kind of likely that they will come back at some point, because dismissive avoidants often get these little gaps in their life where there's a bit of a void, a bit of an emptiness, where their feelings start to be a bit too present for their liking, and they start to try to do something about it. And that might be to try to get validation. It might be to try to have a high level conversation to see if you're still the same, to see if you still love them like you did before, where you were the one who met all of their needs and did all those things for them. They'll remember that as a good thing, but it wasn't good for you, remember, because you were depleted and you were abandoning yourself doing that. So that's not the version of you that you want them to come back to. In fact, someone wrote a really good comment on one of my videos, which was, I'm not where you left me. So you are not where they left you right now, because even by watching these videos that I do, you're growing, you're evolving, you're realizing your worth, you're setting your standard and the bar higher for yourself, because a lot of the people that I speak to in coaching have just got these pure, amazing, beautiful hearts, but have lived a life where they have been caretaking other people all their life, and they have been the giver and the lover and the planner and the fixer, right? And they don't know that they don't actually have to do that in order to be loved. And so when an avoidant comes back, it's like, oh my God, wow. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I used to do this thing where I would be like texting my friends going, oh, you won't believe this. And I would be so excited. But actually, it's not that exciting until and this is possible, okay, because this is possible. I know everybody wants to like shame and blame the avoidance, and I hope it doesn't come across that way in my videos. I never mean it to, but I know that the impact that they can have on particularly anxious people, which is why I'm obviously trying to protect the people who have been left by an avoidant, so that you can rise higher, so that you can heal your nervous system, so that you can be a secure version of you in a secure relationship with someone who also wants to be secure. And it's true that as you work on yourself, equally, at times, avoidants do want to work on themselves as well. I mean, there's loads of videos online about how to heal avoidance, and there are people watching them. There are people who are avoidant wanting to know, why am I like this? And they reach that rock bottom, like I've talked about before, where they're like, oh my God, I can't let myself go through this again. And they reach a pain point where they really, really do feel deeply remorseful and sad about the consequences that they have created, and they start to take responsibility. Now, the best case scenario is that you don't hear from this person at that point, because at that point they're going to be all over the place. They're going to be trying to fix it, trying to still get quick fixes probably. The ideal time to hear from an avoidant is when they've already spent a lot of time doing the work. They've been in therapy. They have started to really see things about themselves. They might have even experienced another relationship where they have learned a lot of stuff. This is one of the reasons why it's actually a benefit. If a dismissive avoidant gets into another relationship, good. They're going to learn more lessons there. At least you don't have to go through more lessons with this person, right? So that's the ideal time to hear from them. And I've seen it happen months or years later, like I say. But very often, more often than not, dismissive avoidants are just calling to say hi. Or they're just trying to check in to see if you still want them, because they haven't done the work on themselves and they want that validation hit. So it's really important that if they do reach out to you, that you take your time and you assess the situation. But the thing is that I've noticed about this, right, is that if an avoidant is going to come back and you're going to reconsider the relationship, you will know. Like, you're not going to be putting them on trial. You're not going to be putting them on trial because you will have done the work on yourself. This is such an important point, right? Is that if you're dependent on like them changing, yeah, then you're still dependent on them. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't want a better version of them. But when you are so whole within yourself, you won't need to put them on trial so much, because you'll be secure within yourself. So the biggest sort of precursor of a healthy relationship after what's been a toxic one is how you feel about yourself, your experience of yourself. This is why I talk about radical self-responsibility, okay? It's so important when you're separated from someone who's been dismissive to stop talking about everything they did wrong and start taking responsibility for your own weak boundaries, for your own anxiety, which will make sense, by the way, given the life that you've lived and the beliefs that you have about relationships and about yourself. So all of these things make sense, but this is where your job comes in to ensure that when this person comes back, you're not just the same. You're not the same. You're different. You've got a different feeling center in your body. And this is what I do with my clients and in my groups. And this is such powerful work and important work. And I have beautiful calls with people where I see that there's a pivotal moment where someone who is anxious, who's historically been anxious, starts realizing, fuck, I've actually got more power than I thought. Or like, I actually have more agency than I thought in my relationships. And I actually can say no. And I don't need to be the caretaker. And I don't need to accept the crumbs of an avoidant anymore. And in doing that, people will either meet you where you are or they'll fall away. Your heartbreak is equal to your unhealed wounding within yourself and your dependency on someone. Yeah, so the bigger the trigger, the older the wound. Thing is that your confidence with your own responses grows with your self-trust. So yes, avoidants do often come back, often, like I say, because they want to say hi, because they're missing something about your connection, but they still haven't done any of the work themselves, or actually because they've done the work themselves. And if they've done the work themselves and you haven't, that's going to illuminate where you haven't. So it's really important that you don't sit around waiting for them to change. So if you'd like any help with this, or you'd like any support, then let me know. I've got one-to-one coaching options available. I am running out of space, so I am going to have to take that down pretty soon. But I've also got my Conscious Creators, which again is starting in June. So if you'd like to book onto that, that is now available too. So if you've got any questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.